Listen to the music.
In style. And we're so glad that you've joined us today. And we've got a very special guest, which I will introduce in just a few minutes. But just want to remind you that you can listen to Powell to the People on KXEX 1550 AM, Saturdays at 4, Sundays at 6 p.m. But you can also catch us at any other time on Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. We've got a time and a place where you can hear it at your convenience. And we talk politics, education, religion, technology, sports, and you're going to hear a really interesting story today about sports, but values and healthy communities. So if it's a topic you're interested in, we probably cover it. You can also catch Good News with Larry Powell, nothing but good news stories, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., also on Spotify, so you can listen when you're driving around the area. You just turn on Spotify and you can listen to a good news story and be pumped up for that meeting you've got to go to. So we're really excited about what's taking place. But I got to tell you, one of the things I wanted to talk a little bit about before we get into our interview today is the shootings that are going on. I mean, absolutely crazy times. And, it's interesting. There's a lot of argument going on about gun control and about gun rights. And there's got to be a way for us to live together and have both. But it requires a lot of thinking, a lot of folks really working together to make sure that happens. But boy, the sadness of losing someone to something stupid like a shooting is just heartbreaking. And boy, I've talked to a lot of folks recently about what's going on. And then when we lost all those kids and teachers in schools, that's just a tough thing. And it doesn't matter how well prepared you are. If someone wants to do something stupid, they can probably do it. We got to find a way to change hearts and minds and change the whole direction of what our thought process is. And we need mental health services. So you take a look at them. Most of them have something going on that is really crazy. Well, today I have a very special guest with me, Ketti Davis, the superintendent in Central Unified. Ketti, we're so glad to have you on Powell to the People today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here as well.
Well, you and I have had a chance to work together for a number of years over the period of time. And I don't know if you knew, but I knew when I was superintendent in Central, I knew you had the ability to do exactly what you're doing now. You have that it factor about connecting with people, good thinker, all the things that a superintendent requires. And I could see that in you. And you went from a couple of different jobs over the years. We're going to talk a little bit about that. You went to a couple of different districts. You've had experience in a lot of different ways. But the board just recently appointed you permanent superintendent, Central Unified, one of the fastest growing districts in the state. And you guys are doing some amazing things. But I thought it would be real interesting just to find out a little bit about you first. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? What kinds of things influenced you to be the person you are today?
Well, I am actually not from here, although for over 30 years this has been home.
That gives you I'm from here.
I am from here. My kids have been raised here. So I grew up in South San Jose, California, so not too far away.
Yeah.
But I grew up in a small, tight-knit neighborhood. My parents, my dad was an engineer of General Electric for career from that area, and my mom had the opportunity to stay home and take care of my older brother and I as we grew up. And yes, and they've been married for well over 50 years, and I didn't know until I matured that that's a pretty a wonderful way to grow up, and
lofty
quite a
goal
privilege
and a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
yes.
my mom and dad made it to 60, I think 67, 68 years. Dad then passed. Dot and I celebrate 52 coming up this week.
Oh,
So
wow.
COVID kind of got us on our 50th. We had planned 200 people, 50 songs, our favorite 50 songs. We had 18 people singing, so we had a choir, quartets, trios, duets. Dot and I were singing to each other. We put it all on hold, so we're going on a cruise this summer to make up for it. But so South San Jose.
South San Jose.
Yeah, so where did you
correct.
go to high school?
I went to Santa Teresa High School in Eastside Union High School District.
Okay, Eastside Union.
Yes,
I'm very familiar with Eastside Union.
And through high school was involved. I played tennis, I played basketball, and on off season was a cheerleader.
Okay.
And took every AP class I could and stayed involved in school and had a tight-knit group of friends that we had gone
Isn't that
through
important?
elementary, middle, high school,
Wow.
and 3 of them are still my closest friends.
Is that right?
Yes.
That is so neat.
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends, but we didn't necessarily stay close. Guys may be a little bit different too. My wife has still close friends, but I have a lot of good friends, but you get off in all kinds of other areas and things, Well, did you keep up tennis? That's a question.
Not anymore. I'm not wearing my arm brace right now, but no,
Okay.
I would love to keep it back up, but I'm getting a little more intrigued in golf these days.
Oh, I love it.
So I would like to stay outdoors. Tennis is a little warm for that around here, but
yes.
but I did enjoy it for a lot of years.
Yeah, good. Well, I love golf. I've shot my age 3 times.
Okay.
So, in fact, last week shot a 74. So shot my age again. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And enjoying that. Well, what was it like for you? What were your thoughts? So did your mom and dad say, Ketti, you're going to go to college, and it was an expectation? Or when you were growing up, what was the expectation mom and dad had for you?
Absolutely. Education was critical. And we were allowed to work. Actually, we were expected to work,
That's good.
but only in the summer and only on breaks. During school, we were expected to go to school.
So your
and
job
our
was
homework,
to learn.
Yep.
Yep.
So we knew that from an early age. I remember my dad talking about him going off to college and how important that was for my brother and I. And my brother's 2 years older, so I saw him go off to school, and so it was expected.
Sure.
No one in my family was in education. My parents were not that. That wasn't their path.
Yeah.
My uncle was in higher education. He worked in the community college system up in Palo Alto area, but I didn't really know much of what he did. So the role models for education were in the classroom. They were teachers that just had a huge impact on me, and I knew at an early age. If you look at my 4th and 5th grade autobiographies,
yes,
I wanted to be a teacher.
Oh,
and so
I love it.
So there were a couple people along the way that I just thought, I really like what you do, and
that's good.
Made
That's
a
good.
difference. So.
Well, was there one in particular?
Yep. Miss Callahan, 3rd grade.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
And I when I got to college, I tracked her down and found her. She had moved down to Southern California, but and interestingly, if you ask my parents, it was not my favorite grade level.
Oh, interesting.
I actually struggled a lot. I didn't love reading at the time. Book reports were really popular then, and I wasn't a fan of it. But she had a huge mark in other ways on just a transitional period for me. And little side story at the time, I'm aging myself, but my mom typically made all my clothes then.
Oh, yeah.
And I really wanted to get the clothes that all the other kids were wearing off the shelf. And I might have been teased a little bit about it. And I remember her sticking up for me. And it was just something about that I shared with her later. Of course, she doesn't remember it, but there was something about her reminding me of value and reminding me of, who I was and really believing in me. And it's funny how things like that,
doesn't it make a difference? Yeah. I had some significant teachers as well. Miss Spalding, Brilia, Folger, Jim Harris. And I got to work with Jim Harris. He was my 6th grade teacher, and I got to work with him as colleagues for about 15 years, which was unusual. So, that was really neat. But yeah, they have an impact on you. And kind of help you decide, hey, this is something maybe I'd like to check out? I was taking French a lot, so and you mentioned you have a brother or someone in France, but I was taking French because I wanted to be in the diplomatic service and all that kind of stuff. But once I student taught and once I did a little bit of work with kids, I was hooked. And so the path was education. That was it.
We had a science department at our high school, and I still keep in touch with a couple of those teachers.
Oh,
our
neat.
English and science department.
Okay.
And a lot of our group went on into the sciences because it just was, they made it fun. And,
I love it.
They made us work really hard, but they made it fun.
Yeah. So what kind of engineering did your dad do?
So my dad and my brother are both mechanical engineers.
Okay.
So
Wow.
the other part of education, I would say, as I grew up, my dad was getting his doctorate while I was in school.
Okay.
So the traditional family evening, I don't really know what it looked like because in our house, my dad would make it to our sports. Both my brother and I were playing sports.
Yeah.
He'd make it to those. We'd eat dinner, talk for a little bit, watch the news or whatever was on, and then he'd go up and study. And so I grew up with him having books and writing papers and those kinds of things. And so that's normal to me to do that in the evening.
Yes.
But yeah, mechanical engineer in nuclear energy at the time.
And your mom, obviously, if you're at home, there's a lot of work. We want to talk a little bit about that in just a minute. But boy, I can't believe how fast the time goes, Ketti.
I know.
Our first segment is done. You're listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down. People on the best talk in town.
Hey, welcome back to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. And I tell you, I love Mark Lowry. That's the bumper music that we have. Some things never change. And from my perspective, it's God's love and faithfulness never changes. So, we've got a lot of reasons to be happy even in the midst of some craziness. But your mom, how did your mom affect you, through all of this? So you've got an engineer for a father, you've got an engineer for a brother who's a couple of years older. And how did mom impact you?
Mom was huge. Mom is the best friend to talk to, and the one that was strict and had the rules, and just watching her through the years, and I joked about it years after when I had my own kids. Wow, I just sounded like you, Mom. Wow, I just sounded like you again, Mom. But she was actually a business major by trade, so her math skills are off the hook.
Wow.
So she played tennis, she sewed, she cooked, and would often be our editors for our papers.
Wow.
So she would help us in finishing our papers up, and wouldn't write anything for us, but would definitely help correct those.
Yeah, I love it.
And so I had a really good understanding of what being a caring and supportive mom that I applied when I had my own children.
So what it looked like, you had a role model.
Like. I did.
Yeah.
And she was tough and had expectations for us. She was easy to talk to and approachable, and those all made a real big difference for me.
Well, you and I had similar things because my mom was an artist. She was a writer, wrote poems, very, very smart. I think she was a Missouri State champion in speech, which I gained a little bit of that from her. But she had us doing every kind of activity you could imagine during summers at home, and we didn't just sit around. We acted, we did all kinds of stuff. 4 kids in the family, and Mom was absolutely spectacular. I don't think she ever got anything besides an A her entire time, but because her mom was an invalid, she had to stay home and left school in, I think, 10th or 11th grade, did not get to finish, but she's one of the brightest people I've ever met in my life, and pretty amazing. So
sounds similar. We summer trips, she would be in charge of scheduling the camping trip where we went. I think it was a way to get my dad away from work.
Yeah,
and
smart.
And we hiked, and we always had a little art sketch pad and
I love it.
dominoes
That's
and
something.
different things to do
Yeah.
that were part of the trip.
Mom's as good as anybody I know in table games.
Mhm.
So, and she loved to beat you. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. Well, so where did you then go to, you finished high school.
Finished
So
high
where did
school.
you go to college?
Cal Poly Mustang.
Oh,
So,
you went
yep,
to Cal Poly.
I did.
How did you choose Cal Poly?
Well, my parents went to Cal Poly, so
Okay.
I looked at a couple other schools. I looked at Fresno State as one of them. I didn't really know San Diego State. I looked at a few places.
Yeah.
I don't think my parents liked the idea of me going that far
Too
away. And I just loved the feel of Cal Poly.
The ambiance there is amazing.
My brother had run cross country for years, and they had a meet down there, so I was familiar with
Okay.
it. And so I applied into their education program, and I actually didn't get in. I remember the letter. I remember tearing the letter up. I remember the tears.
Wow.
And then some friends went down to Cal Poly that weekend and were kind of asking around, shocked that a lot of us that had applied didn't get in, didn't realize how competitive it was.
Right.
And come to find out, they were starting to experience impacted programs.
Yes.
And so I had
It
missed.
had nothing to do with ability scores and all that
Well,
stuff.
maybe a little. I don't know,
But
what
they were very sought after, no
they
doubt
were,
about it.
and they
Yes.
didn't have enough spots for their student teachers.
Yeah.
And they said somehow I had missed the letter that said if I was really serious, I had to apply for summer program.
Oh, interesting.
So I thought, what the heck?
Yeah.
I'll go to summer. So about 5 days after I graduated from high school, my parents packed me up and I started college.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was the best way to start.
Yeah.
It was retired professors who loved the area, loved the subjects.
Fantastic.
And a small group that started. So I really got my bearings before everybody
So
showed up.
you were on your journey to
Was.
becoming a superintendent, even though you may not have known that
I
at the
didn't know
time.
it. No, I didn't know it at the time. And funny story, I guess I shocked my parents. So in high school, I was involved, but never a leader.
Yeah.
Always involved. And I remember talking to them some years later, not at the time. But when I got to college, they had dorm leadership. And so I thought, what the heck? I don't know why. I didn't even consider it wasn't an option. And
Yeah.
so I was one of the hall leaders for sports and activities or something. And I guess I shocked my parents when I called home and said, oh, yeah, here's what I'm doing. And I don't remember them acting shocked.
Yeah.
They just, oh, great, and cheered me on and said, that's good. And how's
Yeah.
studying going?
Yes.
And then come to find out later, I guess they got off the phone and just thought, wow, she's out. She's doing some things.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Really cool. So you got your degree.
I did.
And what did you get your degree in?
My degree was in liberal studies.
Okay.
So part of the way Cal Poly operated then, I think it's changed a little bit now,
Yeah.
but you get your credential as part of your senior project. So
Okay.
my student teaching was at the extremes of the county.
Yes.
I did one experience up in Shandon,
Okay.
which you pass as you
Oh,
drive
yes.
to the coast
Yes.
from here.
Absolutely. I know it. Shalom and
Yep.
Shandon.
Yep.
And,
Fourth grade out there, and it was a great experience out there. And then my second experience was on the southern side, in Orchid,
Okay.
almost to Lompoc.
Yes,
So
yes.
it was both.
well, they literally did send you all over the place.
They really did.
Wow.
They really did. So it was, but they were good experiences, and probably why I love teaching in Central. It was the kind of mix of students
Yeah.
and families that's what I know.
Yeah. That could really benefit from the expertise that you have and that whole thing. Now, a lot of folks don't understand Central. Central has about 90% or so of its student population that's actually in the city of Fresno.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, and Clovis has about 45%. So when you actually look at the districts, we're not divided by cities, we're divided by school districts. And I mean, 92% or so of Central is in the city of Fresno. And you guys have been experiencing incredible growth out there.
We
You know.
keep growing, and the almond orchards right now are turning into homes.
Isn't that
so
something?
we definitely have more coming, which is great for us. I
Yes.
mean, you see a lot of districts around the state that are having to make some tough decisions.
Yes, cuts and things.
cuts and what to cut and we're the opposite. We're already thinking about what do we need to expand to.
In fact, you've built a couple of new schools recently.
We have. We opened Tilley Elementary School a few years ago, and just opened our next high school this last school year.
Yes.
With 9th and 10th graders. So Justin Garza High School.
Garza High School.
Yep.
Yeah. Garza, Justin was a great guy. In fact, I played golf with him over the years, and we lost him to cancer. But just a super, super guy with kids. What a great model for a high school name. You know.
I met him when he was a science teacher,
Okay.
and taught science and coached football for us
Yes.
at the time, and it was all about science. And I remember that his interest in students and their academics was stood out, and,
Absolutely.
and as well as really the expectation of how could he get better.
Yes.
A lot of questions about what he was learning and doing.
Yeah. But you got a stadium out there. You know, you guys have, some great facilities. You've got 3 high schools now. You know,
overnight
campuses.
It feels like all of a sudden we
Wow.
a lot of work to get into it.
Yes.
You were there in early years, but yes, it's pretty exciting to see each of them starting to take shape and have their own personality, and the things that are unique about them, while still offering so much the same. That
well, it's really fun for me, having been superintendent there, and to see the growth and the excellence that has happened. It's pretty amazing, because our goal was to beat Clovis in as many sports as we possibly could, because we knew if the parents felt good about the kids in sports, they would support bond issues, and we knew that buildings were coming, houses was coming, so you had to have something that would help build the entire program, to get it going. And you guys have just taken and run with that. Amazing what's going on. I mean, it is a destination district now. And Central was a little podunk country district a long time ago. In fact, several of my friends went there in high school, and several older friends of mine went there. And they said, we can't believe what it is now. It is a fantastic place, and they're so proud of what's going on.
Our 100th year for Central Union, or
Wow.
Central High School. Our West Campus is this coming school year.
Is that right?
So it's been
100
fun
years.
it's been fun to see groups, the reunions, come around who want a tour of
Sure.
the new campus, or to check
love
in and hear their stories. And they still live out there. They still take great pride in what developed that area, and the schools and their history with it.
Well, they really do take pride in Central, and
Absolutely.
And then you guys just recently had something happen that is absolutely amazing, and it's a state championship.
Woohoo!
Isn't that something?
Yes.
State championship in track and field. Tell us a little bit about that.
Men's team took state championships this last weekend, and it was down to the wire. The last race, the 4x400, and
wow, and that's an exciting race.
Oh, it is, and there were a handful of athletes that got them there.
Yeah,
there was a lot that brought their points up, and we needed, I think, 7 to take state, and so everyone was counting for that last race, and they delivered. So,
isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it was.
And you guys have won Valley championships. You've won state championships. It is an absolutely amazing thing that's taking place there. And as a result, you're able to recruit teachers, and we're going to talk a little more about some of that. And top-notch people are now saying, how do I get into Central, both as students and as administrators and teachers and stuff? Well, I'll tell you what, we're done with our second segment already. The time just flies. You're listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down.
Facebook folks, thanks so much for listening. Please make sure that you hit that share button and send it on to somebody, because we've got with us today Ketti Davis, the superintendent, Central Unified. A lot of really good things coming. We're going to talk more about some of her dreams and goals, and when we get back in our third segment.
People on the best talk in town.
Well, welcome back to Powell to the People. It's such a neat thing to have you with us, and I've got a really good friend and an amazing educator, Ketti Davis, who is the superintendent in Central Unified, one of the fastest growing districts in the state of California. And I mean, not just fast growing, but well done in the way of preparation. So if you want your kids in a really good district, I'll tell you right now, Central Unified is the place to be. They have some amazing teachers, amazing administrators, programs that are available for every kid you can imagine, just doing some absolutely phenomenal things. Well, Ketti, before you became superintendent, tell us a little bit about some of the jobs that you've held and things in the districts that you've worked in.
Well, I started my career in Central. I was hired as a teacher, but before that, I'll give Fresno Unified some credit. Right when I landed, I got a long-term sub job out there at Lane Elementary. And met a friend in college classes at Fresno State. I had started my master's, and she told me about Central Unified and an opening, and so I started as a teacher out there. Been an instructional support coach. I've been an administrator of different curriculum programs.
Yes.
And then I did take a little trip across town and had an opportunity to work as a principal out in Sanger for Mark Johnson and Rich Smith. And it was an incredible experience of growth for me. I learned so much, and being so closely connected to the students was just what I needed at the time. And
neat.
And it got me to recognize that that type of work was really a lane I like to be in.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. As much as we like being in the district we're in, we do learn things when we go to other districts.
Absolutely.
You know, because I started in Sanger. Actually, I was at McLean High School, then I went to Sanger, and then I came back to Fresno Unified, and then out to, up to the Fresno Unified District Office, then to Central, and then to the county office. So I got a good perspective of what was going on in a lot of different places, but I got to see some fantastic people. And Mark Johnson was Superintendent of the Year for the United States of America. So you had some great things that were going on there. I'm sure some of those you were able to take with you and incorporate into some of the things you're doing in Central as well. But what got you back to Central?
You know, there's something about Central, and I'm sure you know it too.
I know.
And I loved the experience I had in Sanger, but my roots were in Central.
Yep.
The superintendent at the time called me, Mike Berg, and said, we've got some other positions. We're growing, and so I just started watching, and there was a position around professional development, and
perfect for you.
It was, and I do, I'm a collaborative type person, and I really do believe that we can all get better.
Yes.
And so that type of work was right up my alley, and I couldn't miss the opportunity to come back.
I love it.
I've stayed close to all of the, the teachers I taught with that are still there, and my husband teaches there, and so that was home. And
well, when you think about it, all those relationships that you developed over the years led to just an acceptance of you as superintendent, and I know it's an arduous task to go through becoming superintendent. Boards make decisions and it's a hard thing to do because internal candidates sometimes have a tougher challenge than the person who is unknown from outside but has good paperwork. Stuff. So kudos to you because during your interim superintendency, the district thrived and did really well. And so, the board saw that. And from my perspective, it was Ketti should be the superintendent, and there's no doubt about it. And having worked with you and seen you in operation and knowing your history and things like that, it was a no-brainer to me. And so I'm so glad that they did it. And got that all settled so that you're now starting a new school year as the lead, and you're bringing in some really good people and working with a lot of good people because as you grow, it's really tough in a growing district because you got to bring in a lot of good people, a lot of good teachers, good administrators to keep the excellence at the high level. And so what do you do how do you look for leaders that you want to be a part of your team?
It is so critical, as you say, and we really need people who are open to feedback, able to listen to what's happening in our community, I'm really proud about how much more engagement we've had in our community. I mean, the downsides
Yep.
of COVID and being out of school was absolutely not our preference.
Boy, it was hard.
But it engaged our community in a different way and
Yes.
connecting them into the school district. And so we need leaders that can listen and hear ideas maybe that aren't the same as what they had put pen to paper and planned for.
Or what they had gone to school for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And willing to just learn and be a lifelong learner. I am learning new things every situation I'm in, and it's helping, I think.
Yeah.
And so looking for leaders that are wickedly smart, of course, and absolutely believe that the students that enroll in Central can do incredible things.
Yes.
You mentioned excellence in our sports, and we've had it in our arts and our ag and all of our
Music.
CTE programs. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kids playing in Carnegie Hall and just incredible feats that they've accomplished. And we need the same in academics.
Yes.
And so that means that all of the staff that we're hiring and that are working can see that potential in students.
Yeah, absolutely.
And see it even when the students don't see it, and still put in the systems that they rise to that. Because that's when those great things you mentioned are happening.
Yeah, well, during COVID, you took a chance on something that I think is really unique. I'm a pastor at People's Church, and we have a thing called I Love My City. And so we took food. We did 1 million meals, hot meals, during COVID out in the community. And Central was one of the places we went to because we knew that there were a lot of students that needed help and families and things. But you embraced that partnership, and it made a huge difference for a lot of families during a really tough time. And we're continuing to do a partnership with you with one of our youth ministers who is absolutely an amazing guy, Marcus Marshall.
Yep.
And in fact, he's just been recruited to about 6 other high schools in the area because he has this unique ability to get in with kids, help them see what they can become, help them understand that school is an important place to be there every day, all of those kinds of things. But kudos to you for, stepping out for community partnerships, because it made a huge difference, I know, for a lot of families.
It did.
Yeah.
And the groceries and the food throughout that period of time when instability was really being seen was critical.
Yep.
And the opportunity for families to know they could take care of their children, and maybe they weren't working at the time, or maybe they were trying to balance it all, work
Yes.
and be the teachers alongside the teacher on the other side of the screen. That was a critical piece. But we faced some challenges at the start of the school year, and Marcus and his team stepped right up and wrapped their arms around our students to make sure they knew that they needed to be in school, it needed to be safe, they needed to make good choices, and
and he has
positive.
Yeah, he has that ability to move in. He's such a gregarious guy, and he loves kids. Absolutely love kids. Loves kids. And so we just think, Marcus is one of those unique individuals, and we're so glad to have him on staff. But it's nice to see what he's doing in the community, not only in Central, but in other high schools around as well. And when there are issues that come up where kids get in trouble with each other or do something kind of silly, he has that ability to step in and help soothe and smooth and get things back on track. So I really like what he does, and he loves Central. So
that's good. That's good, because we love him and what his team's bringing in. And you asked about the types of leaders that we look for, and it's the type that get that you don't have to be the one with all the answers, but you need to be connected to the people that our students will listen to, or our parents will listen to. And,
boy, how true.
And make sure that we have those forces around.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind that I'm not the one if they don't want to talk to me. As long as I got someone on my left or right that they will, then we'll make sure they're taken care of.
Tell you what, Ketti, that's a sign of wisdom when we as leaders look for other people to get credit and do things so that our kids succeed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Makes a big difference. Okay, so you've got your professional experience. Now you are the superintendent. We're getting ready to start a new school year here. Fortunately, the governor has come through with some funds, and it looks like we're going to have a pretty good, healthy budget for the next couple of years. But that also means in out years it can be really tough. So you can't just spend all the money. A lot of times you got to do some one-time kinds of things and stuff like that. And I know you're going through all of those discussions now with your, chief financial officers and your board and things on, okay, when you've got a lot of money, how do you do it well? And how do you prepare for those times that come? Because California is cyclical, and we've got money and we don't have money in education. So you've got, starting July 1, you've got a whole new year coming. And we're not yet necessarily done with COVID, which is interesting because those that are vaccinated and, have their boosters, the impact of COVID is far less. You're not hospitalized as much and stuff. But a lot of parents still are really nervous about this because COVID with Omicron is still impacting folks and things. So what are you guys planning? I know you were in on meetings with Jim Ovino, County Superintendent, every week.
You bet.
Zoom became your friend, and things. But what are you guys planning as we get ready for the new school year?
Well, we're going to finish these 4 days this week strong,
Yeah.
and then this year will end. And you're right. We still have to plan for students to be out of school and parents to be concerned about their students in school. So it worked out perfectly that we had started the plans for an online homeschool just as the things of COVID were taking place.
Great
and so
timing.
It was. And so we do have a wonderful online homeschool option for families to continue if that is the way their students learn
So they've got a
best.
choice.
They have a choice to do that. Absolutely.
We want to talk more about that
as
soon as we finish. We're going to finish our third segment here and get ready for our fourth. But you're listening to Ketti Davis, who is the Central Unified Superintendent of Schools. What a great choice, board. I want to compliment you on choosing her because faculty, staff all benefit, and so do all the kids and parents. So I look forward to a really good year in this coming 22-23 school year. Listen, you're listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down. The People on the best talk in town.
Hey, welcome back to our last segment with Ketti Davis, Superintendent in Central Unified, an absolutely remarkable leader. And I've got to tell you, Ketti, I wanted to use this last segment a little bit to get some of your dreams and hopes for yourself professionally, but for your district in particular. Where do you see Central in 5-10 years? Because let me tell you, if Central is smart, you're going to be there for a long period of time. And one thing we know about education and districts is a superintendent and a board who stay together, work together for a sustained period of time. Everybody in the district benefits. And so I'm looking forward to a 10, 15, 20-year run, whatever, you guys are all up for. But I know how powerful that can be. And I know your heart and your ability to get along with people, to encourage, to lead, to direct, to not impose, but to make sure that we're all doing really well. So what are your dreams and goals for the district? A little interview here, maybe.
Well, absolutely excellence. And academic excellence is an area we've got to focus on.
Yep.
And really, the pandemic itself didn't create some of the things we're seeing. It just revealed where we have some incredible need.
Yep.
And so looking at a couple key factors around literacy are topics we have approached for a long time, really digging in though now and all rowing in the same direction.
Yes.
to get that solid foundation in literacy, numeracy, and multilingualism. We've got a lot of students that are coming in already knowing a language, and so to get them multilingual and strong readers and strong in mathematics as they get started, allow them to take advantage of incredible programs that we have growing in middle school and high school. Really looking at options for students. We started an early college in partnership with our community colleges this year.
I love it.
We're starting our second group of students into that. And
so they can get college credit while they're still in high school.
They are, and in a couple of years, we'll have our first class who gets their AA at the same time they get their high school diploma.
Wow.
And so
let me go a little more with that. Parents, do you hear what she just said? You can finish high school and start as a junior in college with the programs that they're offering in Central. So that's fantastic.
and all part of the cost of free that when you're going to high school, but putting in the commitment of time for sure. But really interesting classes, and I think with the supports we have in high school, it shows students that they can do those college courses, and they get the supports early on, so that as they enter the field that they want to enter, they've already got that set and ready to go. But so I just really believe that we have some incredible pockets of success in our district that have really shown that students who come in struggling can absolutely, knock the ceiling out and achieve great things. And so we want that for all of our students. And with that comes training and support for folks to figure out, how to get around some of the obstacles. And we're definitely seeing some of those. You mentioned at the intro the mental health needs and the supports for students that are in crisis. We've got to get a handle on those so that we can do what our business is, educating.
Yes.
But it starts with kids feeling like they belong, feeling like they have a relationship with somebody there on campus. I tell you my story of my first teacher who had an impact, and that wasn't about reading. It was about that she made me feel important and that I mattered.
Relationships.
And I think our teachers and our staff in all areas of the district have done a great job setting that culture to get kids reconnected, but we haven't connected with everybody yet. And we need to learn some new ways to do that with our students.
That's pretty neat. Central has always been known for its parent programs and trying to provide parents with the kind of tools that they need so their kids can succeed. And I know you're continuing to do that and to make a difference there because, and think about this, you have such a variety of languages of kids that are in Central. You also have, mental health challenges with some kids because you got group homes in the area as well. In fact, Central at one time had more group homes than any place around. And yet you provided a great education for those kids that are struggling, that have lost family members and, are off by themselves and yet they feel a part of what's going on in Central.
Yeah, inclusivity is critical. All students, regardless of what they believe their challenge or barrier is, I feel like it's our responsibility to help them see past it and make sure our programs are accepting. And you mentioned languages. I mean, that's something we, over the last handful of years, have been investing in. This incredible team of community outreach liaisons. And they speak Punjabi and Arabic and Spanish and just get out there and connect with families to help them understand how can they support their child. They don't have to speak the language to be able to be an incredible support for their children.
Yep, absolutely.
And so that work in reaching both parents and then their students to make sure that they know where those resources are, and in some cases destigmatizing mental health services and counseling, and that's an okay thing to have access to. And our students are the most incredible marketers of that. They are the first now to, when I meet with our student groups, to say, well, here's what we need, and we need to make sure everybody knows where it is. And they're very comfortable with that, which our adults can learn from as well.
Absolutely. In fact, in the Punjabi community, you have, I think, the largest Punjabi population of any district around.
I believe so, too. And they are incredible. They're an incredible group.
They're fantastic people. And they get it that education is a ticket to success. And they're going to make sure that the kids, are there every day and are doing well. And it's been fun to watch, as different ethnic groups realize that their ticket to success as a family, as individuals, is education. And Central is a place that provides that for them and is pretty amazing. So, it's unique. In fact, you guys also offer a lot of sports opportunities for just kids in the community that are not necessarily connected to the schools on the weekends. I know, in fact, I've got two grandkids, boys that play soccer, right there at the new middle school. And you guys have major facilities available. And I think that's one of the unique things is that you understand that facilities are to be made available for community. And when you develop that community feel, they support bond issues, and as you guys grow, you're going to have a lot more bond issues coming.
Absolutely. And And I am pretty excited. Just recently, we had a groundbreaking for a cricket pitch out at Madison Elementary, where I started teaching out there in the field. Got to learn how to play the sport a little bit.
Okay.
I did hit the ball once, but watched them and how exciting for them to be able to play a sport that the students tell me they have to wake up in the middle of the night to watch with their families.
Yes, and England and Australia.
Absolutely. And instead to be able to go out locally and see matches is a great thing for us to have added in.
I think that's fantastic. Well, I know that you've got tremendous training programs for your folks. Fresno State, Fresno Pacific University, they do a great job of training teachers and things, but there's an attitude at each district that you gain, and it's much like I like to say about In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger has a theme that every employee is an advocate for In-N-Out and making sure you feel comfortable being at that restaurant. And I know Central has a similar kind of thing going, that you're proud to be a Central employee. And as a result, you're providing incredible services to the kids. And that's up and down the line. I mean, from staff and, I've always said that the bus driver sets the tone for what's going to happen in a school for that day. And when the bus driver says to a kid, "I'm so glad, Johnny, you get to ride my bus to school today," that kid's going to want to be on that bus every day. And you guys have some fantastic employees outside of the classroom that really do great things with kids. And you've had a long history of that. And
we saw that during the pandemic, because our bus drivers and our child nutrition team were out there every day and questioning, well, I need to be there. I can't not be out there to connect with the kids. How do we do it safely?
Yes.
And they are often the one that the students connect to first, and those kind comments that are made, those encouragement, those kind of checks of, don't forget, here's what's important.
Yes.
Often are coming from our team that they're proud of what they do, and we're proud of how hard they work.
Now, are you guys doing some of the environmental busing and things?
We have a couple
of
buses.
I had heard that you started some of that.
We do. We have a few and looking for future grants as well for it.
Right. So, folks, I don't know if you know, but buses are expensive. They are. And once you've got one, you got to wear it out all the way, and then you got to depend on the state to help you get new buses and things. And you guys are such a large district. I don't know if people understand the geographic nature of Central, but it's urban and rural both. And so you guys have a lot of challenges that other districts don't. How do you keep kids involved in schools when you live 2, 3, 4 miles away from a school and things? But you're doing a great job with that. So what are your immediate plans for this summer? What are you going to do to get a little break for yourself?
Well, the family and I are going to take a little trip. We had one planned during COVID that was canceled, and so we're going to take a trip over to London this summer.
Oh, nice.
So just a quick week, but it's been a dream for my kids and my husband and I to do that trip together. So there'll be 1 week where I disconnect, and I've got an amazing team that's going to let me do that.
I love it.
Other than that, it's going to be getting all the plans ready so that we have a really strong year next year.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, listen, folks, you've been listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. We've had as our guest today, Ketti Davis, the superintendent, recently finalized superintendent in Central Unified. Let me tell you what, you're looking at a great district that's going to continue to grow, continue to do great things under your leadership, Ketti. I'm so excited that you're the superintendent there. You've got a legacy that you're going to continue, and our kids are going to benefit as a result. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
We just really appreciate it. Folks, thanks for being here. We'll see you next week.